If you want to watch a good beat the clock thriller, look no further than the very underrated and overlooked True Crime starring Clint Eastwood. I thought this was a really, really good movie. I have a vague memory of watching this movie when it first came out back in 1999. I remember liking it really, really a lot, and after watching it again, I still like it. I have some issues with it here and there, but they're like very, very minor things that I think kind of like slow down the pacing of this movie. But overall, this is a very, very solid movie. I thought Clint Eastwood, as this character named Everett, who is pretty much a reporter, did a really, really good job within the role. It's refreshing seeing Eastwood play a more human, down to earth type of character, and I think he fits it like a glove, especially in this era where Eastwood was in his advanced age. He was like in his 60s when this movie was made, and I thought he fit the role of the reporter trying to unravel this mystery really, really well. And he's backed by a really, really talented cast, which includes James Woods, Dennis Leary, Isaiah Washington. I thought they all did really fine in their roles as well, with Isaiah Washington playing the character called Frank, who's the man on death row, who's Eastwood's character's life is trying to save by pretty much, proving his innocence. Now the character of Frank is in prison because 6 years prior to the events of this movie, he was accused of murdering this store clerk, who was also pregnant at the time over a money dispute. But as the movie goes along, we the viewer find out the truth behind everything, and we find out that Frank was innocent all along. He was just a it was just more of a wrong place, wrong time type of thing, and the man nearly lost his life because of it. And if it wasn't for the character of Everett, an innocent man would have been sentenced to death. But I thought that Isaiah Washington, as the character of Frank, was really, really sincere in his performance. You really can tell that the character of Frank is a good-hearted human being and that he's not an evil monster. And even though the act he's being accused of was heinous, when we first meet him, we're not really convinced that a man like this is capable of doing the heinous act that he's being accused of. And as the movie goes along and the truth is revealed, we realize that Frank really is, he's a good-hearted type of human being. And thank God thank God he was able to survive the ordeal. Um, Again, other than that, a very solid supporting cast. You have James Woods, who plays the editor, who plays the boss, has a connection with Eastwood, and I like the bantering between Woods and Eastwood. It's just like these two guys just bantering back and forth with these quips, very, very entertaining. And you got Dennis Leary, who was in a very, very subdued type of role. Um, I like Dennis Leary as an actor. I like him in the movie, but the storyline that he has in this movie, I am not a big fan of, because it just most revolves around Eastwood having an affair with Leary's character's wife, which kind of brings the movie down to a screech, which kind of like stops this movie and kind of disrupts the pacing a little bit, because like close to the end of this movie, Eastwood's wife in the film finds out that he was having an affair, and it's like a good 3 minutes of them just like going over it, and I don't like it. It kind of takes away from the beat the clock suspense that this movie was building up from this moment it starts all the way to that point. I think having that kind of grind the movie to a halt didn't really work for me at all. Did not like it whatsoever. I think if you take the whole like love affair thing out of this film, it would have flowed much, much better. I think that's like 5 minutes you could have put more towards Eastwood's character trying to find the truth. Of course, the events lead to him finding the truth because he ends up going to a bar and get drunk. But you could have easily have had Eastwood's character just be down on his luck with his sources pretty much going nowhere. And after he meets the grandmother of one of the supposed assailant, and the grandmother doesn't really give him anything, that could have been where Eastwood character goes to the bar and gets shit faced instead of having to go to his wife and get stone faced drunk because she leaves him. I think you could have taken I think that would have made the movie flow much better, and it would have worked for me as a whole much better. There's also this other random character who's like a bum, who we see peppered throughout the movie doing like these stupid things, which you could take that character out. Wouldn't really meant much, because a lot of the humor comes from the bantering between James Woods and Eastwood anyway, when they're constantly quipping at one another. That could have been your humor right there, and just Eastwood's just stoic delivery with certain lines also is all you needed to have the humor pretty much work out in his favor. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I would have done. But everything else in this movie, this is a great movie. You have rock solid performance by Clint Eastwood and a really good stellar performances by his supporting cast. I like the character of Frank. I like Eastwood's character, and I like this setup as to how Eastwood's character ends up getting this report. So at the beginning of the movie, we see him in a bar with this girl named Michelle, and in the prologue, the Michelle character kind of, gets into a car wreck and dies, and then her story gets transferred to Eastwood's story, to Eastwood's character, for him to finish up the job. So I like how that goes in. I like that we establish how Everett gets the story. I like we have that little connection because the character of Michelle in her investigative was already on to something as well, and Eastwood's character just finished up the job for her. So that all worked really, really well one to itself. Uh, like I said before, I like a lot of the scenes with Frank, but I like his interactions with with the with the officers he's in custody with, because you can see that these people, they're not like these officers in the warden. They're not hostile towards Frank at all. It's a very amicable, respectful type of in a way relationship that Frank has with the law enforcement while in the prison. Like they're not hostile towards him. They're all mild mannered towards him. Especially the warden, who you can feel deep down knows that Frank is an innocent man, but being in his position, he's in no way to prove that, and he can't really do anything about it. So I like how that plays in. I also like Michael McKean's little role as a priest who is pretty much a dickhead. So yeah, this movie has got a lot of good things in it, minus a few things I didn't really care for. I overall truly recommend True Crime, no pun intended. I give it a 9 out of 10. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor and give it a watch. It's a really good beat the clock thriller. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.